you might say we've done enough chat on that match last night, but we haven't, because it would be wrong of us being Jim White, Simon Jordan and Danny Murphy, not to mention this. So the teams come out, and this was the big occasion. This was the 150th anniversary to mark the oldest rivalry in world football. Scotland playing England, England playing Scotland. The teams line up, and then they play the UK national anthem. So somewhere in there, you might just hear it in the background as God Save the King is being played at Hampden Park. And many, many Scotland fans let rip when the anthem began. Simon, where do you stand on this morning? Have we become an island of anthem booers? I mean, is it embarrassing? As a Scot, that took me by surprise last night, and I know probably many around the country said, really? How naive can you get? But I've been to Scotland and England games before, and you hear it. I've been to Wembley before to see Scotland play England, and many Scotland fans boo it. But last night, I don't know why, but this is just too much. Those who indulged in it, those who indulged in it, massively showed disrespect.
Yeah, they
Not
did.
only to themselves, but to the occasion. And just before you answer it, Simon, Scott Cunningham is a good friend of mine. He's a blind gentleman who lives up in Scotland. He goes to Rangers games and he stands in a group, and there's commentary for the blind party at the game. Scott, good morning. Love your show. Thanks, Scott, for that. Those who disrespected the national anthem last night, guys, are a disgrace to Scotland. They should hold their heads in shame this morning. It was such an occasion. You know, have the rivalry by all means, but don't have the hatred. Not at a time like that. Not ever, says Scott.
What creates an occasion? Atmosphere.
Yeah.
Resentment.
The right kind of atmosphere,
Electricity.
Danny. The right kind of atmosphere.
Euphoric moments.
Tell
Love, passion.
Tell me why it backfired on the Scots.
Because they're not a very good side.
No, tell me what you told me earlier on.
I heard Gareth Southgate talk about Jude Bellingham after in glowing terms, obviously. And he said one of the things he saw when the national anthem was being booed is Jude Bellingham's body language changed. This is what Gareth said. I didn't see this, so I'm only... And he said he thinks it definitely pushed him on to play the way he did. Now, if that's the case, and I think a lot of footballers, and I have to talk from my angle of experiencing intimidating atmospheres and things being booed and all these different, from the crowd, just noise. I don't mean anything more than that, but it does inspire. It does create a want to shut them up and that creates better football, better entertainment. It creates passion in the heart of me as a footballer to go, I'll shut you up.
Yeah, didn't do much for the Scotland team, did it?
No, but this is the pros and cons of doing it, isn't it? These are the decision-making...
No, but the question being, why do it at all?
Because it's part of what we do.
Tragically, we live now in a very disrespectful and divisive society that's fuelled by a phenomenon that's never been there before, which is social media.
This has always happened.
No, not to this level.
Not like this.
Not to this level.
Simon, I was at Wembley, England, Scotland in 1988 when Beardsley got the winner. It happened the same. And in fact, unfortunately for me, it was 10 times worse because I was unfortunately in a part of the stadium where there was violence breaking out right near me. Thank God that doesn't happen anymore. If the worst we get is a few supporters booing a national anthem, come on,
I don't remember the home internationals that we've all talked about. No. I'm just going to throw a different point in, and we can debate that as well. I don't remember the home internationals that we all hark back on and were speaking about the last couple of days. The last one being in 1984, being fueled by yes, of course, rivalry. Yes, of course, an intense desire to be better than one of the other home nations. But I don't remember, and the media are very proficient at this. Over the years, they've always reported when England fans have behaved badly, it's been the cameras have switched away when we were playing Norway in 1984, and all we were interested in were the fans fighting on the terraces, and I want to watch the game. There's always been, but we didn't hear the narrative that ultimately national anthems are being booed. There was always an element of jeopardy. Now,
No, they knocked 7 bells out of each other instead of booing the national anthem.
I understand that.
I think we're in a much better
I understand
place.
that too, and maybe that were the case, and maybe that's a different argument. But we're talking now about the reflection of national symbols, and we're talking about a culture in Scotland right now. I think that Sturgeon and Alex Salmon have fueled a very divisive set of sentiments that have amplified the scenario, and you've got what you described as well, which is the traditional rivalry. I don't think it's admirable. I don't think it's centred in any kind of respect. And they'll say, no, it's not.
It's not admirable. It's inevitable.
Well, I guess.
Are you saying England fans wouldn't boo the Flower of Scotland if we were the Scottish national anthem? If we were at Wembley, of course they would. It's not just about Scottish fans.
I don't know.
English fans, Scottish fans, Welsh fans, come on.
Well, we've called them out before. I mean, I was at England.
Do you know what, Jim? What we'll have next? What we'll have next?
England will let rip.
What we'll have next outside Hampden is a load of Range Rovers with hampers in the back and some champagne flowing between England and Scotland fans. Is that what you want? Is that where we're at?
No,
it's football.
Not.
It's passionate. It's tribalism.
Passionate.
It is what it is.
Why not save that passion for the 90 minutes?
They did.
Why let rip?
They did.
Why
they did as well
during the playing
because
of the national
it is
anthem?
what supporters do. And if we want to create this utopian world where football supporters all behave brilliantly and the players all come on and shake, we can't on one hand.
It's a good old football banter, Danny.
Yeah, we can't on one hand.
Look, they're going to play the national anthem. You ready?
You've got England and Scotland players chatting in the Euros in a couple of years ago, and one of them getting COVID because they were chatting next to another one. They were too nice to each other. You know, you can't have the best of both. You can't criticise what it's like. If you want this rivalry and intensity and great atmosphere and all these things we love about the game, you can't take that stuff away. You can't.
See, I'm in the middle.
You can't nitpick. You can't pick and choose the bits you want. Otherwise, we'll end up like rugby union.
You can start obviously people are starting to suggest, and should have been doing it for some time, that these tragedy songs that are being sung by fans that they think is humorous. Well, it's not been different for many, many years because people have been singing about the Busby Babes for as many a year as we can remember.
I remember.
It's
I was at Liverpool United games.
that we've decided that that's something that needs to be stopped. I'm in between the two. I'm not offended by this. I'm just slightly disappointed by it and think football fans, or certain segment of football fans, are rather imbecilic. I don't think it adds anything to the occasion. I don't think it creates the jeopardy in the conversation. I don't think it does at all. I think it's rather diminishing of it at international level. I also think that the narratives that underpin some of this are ill-informed. I'm not going to tell the Liverpool fans how to view their world and how to see the challenges they had in the 80s, but I don't think the royal family have anything to do with the Conservative government's decisions in Liverpool in the mid-80s. And the fact that they boo these anthems, they'll say something different, and it's their right to do that. But I don't think anyone should sit there and say it's admirable. I think it's anything but.
I think it's ignorant.
Who said it's admirable?
Pig ignorant. Of course it's pig ignorant. But I also think that it doesn't offend me, because the expression I'm using recently quite a lot is it's priced into my thinking. I expect it of them.
You come to expect it.
I expect it of them.
It's inevitable.
Yeah. That's almost a sad indictment of it, Simon.
Well, this is
last night,
Jim, all I'm saying is, if that's
last
the worst,
night, Danny, were trying their best pre-match to pick out some great shots. Oh, there's a woman with her 2 kids wrapped up in tartan. There's another bunch of girls who are at the game tonight. There's a group there. Oh, they're all ready for this. The Scots are out in force. National anthem gets a pounding. It's sad. It's unnecessary. It's avoidable. It's disrespectful. It's all of those things.
If it's the worst thing we have to deal with in an England-Scotland game, so be it. I can live with that all day. And I'm telling you this thing, I'll go back to my first point. As a footballer, I enjoy, and I think most would agree, might be the odd exception, but I doubt it, love those atmospheres. And it creates a bit of fire in your belly.
I love it that you take your lad to games. If you'd been at Hampden last night and the anthem's played, or during the minute silence for Craig Brown, and he was to let rip with some of the other English fans, would you just stand beside him?
I'd like to think not, but I'm not in that position. So I've not been in a position where I've watched an England or an England-Scotland game and it's go.
But you'd like to think not. Why would you like to think not?
I wouldn't take my son to a game and allow him to boo a national anthem, because I think I'm cut from better stock.
Well, you'd be in a box.
Not necessarily.
You would. You'd be having your prawn sandwiches.
Not necessarily. No.
Next to Jim on your free ticket.
Whatever privilege I got in my life, I earned from my own achievements.
I know
my background, right? So my background might have put me in a better position, but notwithstanding, I grew up on the football terraces like you did.
Yeah.
So my preferred position is to be amongst the fans and enjoy it, and from that perspective, because it's far more enjoyable. Sometimes by being in the media, you can't do that. But the point is, if my son was there, I'd want him to experience it the way I did as a kid.
I think I'd try and educate him.
I wouldn't want to see him sitting there booing a national anthem.
But it wouldn't bother me. that much.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't offend me beyond offence.
It bothers a lot of people out there this morning. There's Nick, great show, guys. I'm enjoying it. Booing the national anthem, though, quite simply, is completely unacceptable
to him
and disrespectful.
To him,
there's Donald in Glasgow.
Doesn't mean everyone else has to share that bloody view.
Is not booed at Murrayfield.
Well, booing isn't a sign of respect, is it?
No, but if
let's look at it in its isolation.
You're at a football match.
So does this? So
if you want to boo a certain musical theme that some people think it's important,
I would put it out there this morning.
Not everyone thinks the national anthem is as important as other people.
I agree with you in
that silence.
Yeah,
you stand in silence.
Do what you want to do. Yeah,
correct.
You stand in silence.
Stand in silence.
You don't boo.
Do you know what? I wish you two were in charge of the football, the FA, or whatever, because we'd have this wonderful environment for everyone to go and watch football.
No, that's silly. No one's being
just being a little.
No
bit
one's
naive.
being allowed. We're calling it out for what it is. It's disrespectful. We know it's disrespectful. You know it's disrespectful. No, you know it's...
offend. You just say... how can you say it's disrespectful? 5 minutes ago, say you're not that bothered.
Turn it on its head, Danny. Do you think it's acceptable?
But you just said you're not that bothered either way.
No, I'm not affronted by it because I've priced it in, which is
not
a sad indictment of the reality of what we got.
So you're all right with
I'm a grown-up.
then,
I'm a grown-up. No, I think it's a sad indictment of our society that we spend more time being disrespectful to people than we do valuing people.
You think it's acceptable?
But we are where we are.
You think it's acceptable? That's all right.
It doesn't bother me either way. Couldn't care less.
Football banter.
And I'd actually, as a player for England at Hampden, I'd rather them do it than not.
Well, then why would you get fired
this
up
morning? The booers at Hampden last night, when
like
God Save the King was being played, as Simon has rightly said, and I'm in Simon's camp on this 100%, instead of booing this hail of noise and vitriol and disrespect, why didn't you all just shut up and let it be played? And then we wouldn't be hammering into it this morning, as we are doing.
How naive of a request.
No, you can think what you like, Danny, but it's disrespectful.
Is it a naive request?
It's not acceptable.
No, but is it a naive request?
Is it naive in the fact that it's ever going to happen? No.
Exactly. So what's the point?
It's naive in that respect, but in the respect
let
of let it be a better society. Well, why would we not want better standards?
You're not going to. You're asking for perfection.
No,
not going to ask. Someone
better.
Booing a national anthem is hardly the crime of the century.
No, it's
not. Let's put it in
bloody perspective.
No one's saying that. No one's saying
that.
You're making a mountain out of a molehill.
We're talking about a fundamentally disrespectful society.
Don't just read out the one-sided. You're just reading out the people who are offended.
No, don't you worry.
Go on, then.
I'm coming at the others as well.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.